Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's time for coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career double shot K-Cup with my guest, Justin Dauer. You've already given us some examples of what a really shitty culture is like.
Yep.
What does a human-centered design approach in the workplace look like? And what does it feel like? You just mentioned culture. And it goes way beyond like the layout of the office. This is so much more.
Yeah, I was on another podcast with a fellow from Ireland, and I wrote about a concept in my book about this feeling in the pit of your stomach on a Sunday where you dread going into work, and he called it the Sunday dreadies. And I love the way he put that. And I mean, that's so applicable if you are in a role where you dread going into work because you think about the previous week and how you were thrown under the bus, or how, like I said, you tried to leave early and someone tapped their watch and threw a little dig at you. Those are all signs of an unhealthy culture. You don't want to go into work. You'd rather stay home under the covers. You can't fall asleep because you're playing this horrific film reel inside your head of what happened last week. A healthy culture is people first. And I say human-centered, and that means different things to different people in the way we create. But ultimately, it boils down to people first. And in the way we design and the way we treat one another. And we treat one another with respect as individuals. So that means looking out for your fellow man at that point. It means being respectful, particularly at this time when we're working from home amongst coronavirus. And on any given day, someone's productivity might hit 70% if they're lucky. But you have to be cognizant of people are just trying to stay sane right now and survive and try and get toilet paper and all these valuable core life things that people are dealing with kids at home. That's my case as well. As an explicit example, I tell my team, I recognize this. I know you're going through a lot right now. I recognize your productivity is going to be lower. I understand what you're going through. And then in actions, I don't just make it lip service. I go to the respective product managers that my team are interacting with, and I set their expectations. I say my team's working a little slower right now. We have to adjust the milestones, or that's all part of being a leader, advocating for them and making sure there's support there. So under these very specific and different circumstances we're working with now, it's things like that. It's making sure people are growing in their field, people aren't stagnating, people understand what their career path is and how I can help them get there, advocating for them on any given day. Like I said in a presentation, if things don't go so well, making a learning experience, not taking someone into an office with my expensive Herman Miller chair and admonishing them, which has happened to me, but making it a learning experience. What could we have done differently next time? Or how can we try this or try that? Being an advocate for my team, both in a design sense and a cultural sense, making sure that a healthy culture is not defined by a ping pong table and arcade machine, that's more defined by respect and humility and empathy at the most senior levels. Those are all core signs of a healthy creative culture.
So you mentioned the ping pong table because in your book, you also advise job seekers to watch out for certain kinds of perks, what you call cultural band-aids. Why is that, Justin?
It's important to make sure that a business, when they might tout their culture, because a lot of businesses recognize culture and brand are synonymous. If you have a healthy culture, that organically will fuel your brand and the organic marketing in the job space as well. Oh, this company has a really cool culture. Maybe I'll check that out. And you think about things like some software firms on the West Coast have things like sleep pods, where you can take a nap at work and you can conk out like a sensory deprivation orb, or the business will pay for my dry cleaning. If I'm at work too long, they'll pay for my dry cleaning. If I'm there past 9 o'clock, they'll pay for my cab home. On the surface, those things sound great, but you have to think about the other side of that. Why am I working past 9 o'clock? Why do I need to be taking a nap at work? Why am I working so long? Why do I have to do my dry cleaning? And those are kind of, I'm not saying it's across the board with malintent, but I think often it yields, like I say, Band-Aids to cover up what the cracks in the culture are by throwing technology or things that look nice on the surface level. So if they have those things, that's great, but there has to be a baseline of humility and treating people well across the board, not just with ping pong tables or an arcade machine, but just how people's time is valued and how their expectations are set and how they're communicated to. Those are all the signs of a healthy culture, far more than any tangible perk like that.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee, 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.